Good evening, one and all. What a pleasure it is to see your smiling, happy faces here this evening, and so many of you. Hardly a vacant seat in the house. Well, some of you I know were here when we did this concert last year, and we all enjoyed ourselves so much we felt we had to do it again, so here we are. And some of the faces you'll see tonight are familiar to you, and you know, when you've got a show like this, you really want to get it off to a good start. And that's exactly what we're going to do tonight. By overwhelming popular demand. You've asked for it. And by George, you've got him. The one and only Claude Huxley.
Rocking alone in an old rocking chair, I see an old lady with silvery hair. She seems so neglected by those who should care, rocking alone in an old rocking chair. Her hands are all calloused and wrinkled and old. To look at those hands, a story is told. And I think of angels as I see her there, rocking alone in an old rocking chair. It wouldn't take much to gladden her heart, just some small remembrance on somebody's part. A letter would brighten her lonely life there, rocking alone in an old rocking chair. I know some kids in an orphanage home who would think they were in heaven if she were their own. They'd never be willing to see her sit there, rocking alone in that old rocking chair. I looks at her and I thinks it's a shame, the ones that forgot her she loves just the same. And I thinks of angels as I see her there, rocking alone in that old rocking chair, rocking alone in an old rocking chair. putting them a bit higher. I thought I had seen pretty girls in my time, but that was before I met you. I never saw one that I wanted for mine, but that was before I met you. I thought I was swinging the world by the tail. I thought I could never be blue. I thought I'd been kissed and I thought I'd been loved, but that was before I met you. I wanted to ramble and always be free, but that was before I met you. I thought that no woman would ever hold me, but that was before I met you. I thought I was swinging the world by the tail. I thought I could never be blue. I thought I'd been kissed and I thought I'd been loved, but that was before I met you. I thought I had seen pretty girls in my time, but that was before I met you. I never saw one that I wanted for mine, but that was before I met you. I thought I was swinging the world by the tail. I thought I could never be blue. I thought I'd been kissed and I thought I'd been loved, but that was before I met you. I wanted to ramble and always be free, but that was before I met you. I thought that no woman could ever hold me, but that was before I met you. I thought I was swinging the world by the tail. I thought I could never be blue. I thought I'd been kissed and I thought I'd been loved, but that was before I met you. Go something like this. Downtown tonight, I met an old flame I once knew. I used to take comfort from long before I met you. I caught a spark from her eye of forgotten desire. With a word or a touch, I could have rekindled that fire. But old flames can't hold a candle to you. No one can light up the night like you do. Flickering embers of love, I've known one or two, but old flames can't hold a candle to you. Sometimes at night I think of the love that I've known. Then I remember I'm feeling not so quite alone. Then I beside me, and even their memory is gone. Like stars in the night that faded the first light of dawn. Old flames, and come on, sing. Old flames can't hold a candle to you. No one can light up the night like you do. Flickering embers of love, I've known one or two, but old flames can't hold a candle to you. Once again now. Old flames can't hold a candle to you. No one can light up the night like you do. Flickering embers of love, I've known one or two, but old flames can't hold a candle to you.
Now we started off with song and music, and now for a little poetry. Now those of you who were with us last year will remember how much we enjoyed the lovely poems of our poetess this evening, Muriel Moore, and I'm delighted to tell you she's with us again to read some more of her poetry. So I give you the Poet Laureate of Newton Tracy.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very flattered to be entitled the Poet Laureate, but not quite like that. I've got a few little poems to read you tonight, and I'd like to start on a little bit of a serious note because it is Remembrance Sunday tomorrow, and I've got this little poem I wrote. In actual fact, it was after the 80th anniversary of the ending of the First World War, and I was watching on the television, and they were showing these very elderly gentlemen that had returned to the First World War battlefields, and some of them were in wheelchairs, and obviously they were one or two over 100 years old, and it sort of gave me a little thought about, and some of them were standing to attention. And I wrote this little poem, and I called it Old Comrades Remember. Those weary legs had once marched bravely off to war, to a conflict like the world had never seen before. Those weary feet once trod the trenches cold and deep, no homely comforts there, or place for restful sleep. Those weary eyes had watched a stretch of no man's land, to look for signs of what the enemy might plan. Those weary hearts, no doubt, had really leapt with joy, as they had joined the ranks when scarcely more than boys. Back then those fine young men responded to the call, but all too soon had witnessed friends and comrades fall. Now, with medals gleaming on their chests, they had returned, as memories of battles fought within them burned. A pilgrimage to honour those they'd left behind, and even after 80 years, to call to mind the courage shown by all those brave young fighting men, together with the comradeship they'd shared in then. In foreign lands, near towering monuments, old soldiers gathered to express their sentiments. They've not grown old like we now have, they say, but we will remember them as the sun goes down each day. Now this is a very little short poem, and it's about living the privilege we've got of living in North Devon. How lucky we are to reside in North Devon, a place we could feel that much closer to heaven, where sandy gold beaches stretch out to the sea, and on rolling green pastures flocks graze, roaming free. The hedgerows in spring when the primroses bloom, the coastline where rugged cliffs awesomely loom, the beauty of Exmoor with its bracing fresh air, the valleys and peaks that are seen everywhere. Quaint little cottages beside rural tracks, where grass often peeps through the road surface cracks. The countryside flavour of old market towns, where modernities flourish, but tradition abounds. So wherever we travel, no matter how far, let us never forget how privileged we are to live in North Devon, a bright jewel in the crown, and give thanks for the beauty we can view all around. Now, a few years ago, we went on a trip to Lundy Island. We hadn't been. I know there are one or two people here that went on this trip to Lundy Island. Might bring back a few memories. And we hadn't been for, well, not since we were courting actually, so it was sort of, we often said we would like to go again. So a friend was organising a trip, and so we went on this trip to Lundy Island. So this was our experiences. A pleasure trip to Lundy. A trip to Lundy Island. What a wonderful idea. We hadn't paid a visit there for more than 40 years. A Saturday in August seemed a really perfect day, and with 6 hours on the island, a good length of time to stay. We set off in the morning at 9:30 on the dot. The weather quite acceptable, neither cold nor yet too hot. We sailed along the Torridge, having left from Bideford Quay, gliding neath the lofty bridge, then heading for open sea. We crossed the bar with little fuss, still sheltered by dry land. Most folk by now had found a seat, but some preferred to stand. The Oldenburg was well equipped with a buffet and a bar. We settled down for a pleasant trip. Lundy's really not that far. But soon protection from the land was just a memory. The ship began to rise and fall on a whipped-up stormy sea. The paper bags distributed were quickly being filled. Oh, how we wished those choppy waves could be miraculously stilled. We reached the island in 2 hours. Many folk were looking green. We disembarked and climbed the path, surveying the Lundy scene. We soon forgot our crossing woes as we wandered round about, a peaceful haven off our shores, unspoilt without a doubt. We didn't see the puffins, they'd gone fishing out at sea. We did see Lundy ponies, and the sheep were roaming free. Some folk who reached the northern end were pleasantly surprised to see the seals a-swimming, and were astounded by their size. The Morisco tavern's food was not expensive and was good. The shop sold travel tablets, well, with seasick triggers, so they should. The well-built church stands proudly overlooking Lundy Isle, the windswept landscape stretching for a magical 3 miles. Then came the time to head for home, a prospect rather daunting. For many folk, the outward trip was still proving somewhat haunting. We boarded with true British grit. The Atlantic, here we come. The Oldenburg will get us home, although doubts crept in for some. With all aboard, an announcer said some rolling might occur. Well, I'm not too sure which motion of the ship that I'd prefer. We rolled from side to side while waves were crashing from on high. Not too many paper bags in use, but I can't imagine why. It seemed an age before we reached the safety of the quay. Not everyone, I'm sure, felt quite as petrified as me. The crew had been magnificent, their service beyond compare, giving out the paper bags and collecting yucky ones with care. We thanked Tom for his arrangements. The idea was simply grand. But on days like that in 4-6 winds, it feels safer on dry land. I loved it on the island, and I'd like to go once more, but only if the forecast says it's set fair the day before. Lambing time. Look over farm gates in springtime and see newborn lambs in the field, singles and doubles or trebles, and remark on the increase or yield. It's a commonplace scene for a farmer and a sight most non-farmers adore. But those who know nothing of lambing have little knowledge of what's gone on before. Housing for the ewes needs attention, lambing pens to construct or prepare. With starting time now fast approaching, you sometimes feel like tearing your hair. The first lambs can arrive a bit early, or a ewe's body protrudes from the rear. Some farmers keep safety pins handy to use if that problem appears. You've stocked up the medicine cupboard with lambing essentials galore, stomach bag, tablets, syringes, and a number of teats, that's for sure. Iodine treatment for navels, eye ointment, and assortment of sprays. With numerous possible problems, you get ready in a whole host of ways. Then it's days and nights spent as a midwife, and frustration when little goes right. Ewes with 3 lambs often milkless, but when it's singles, their udders are tight. And however you carefully tend them, it's as certain can be that hazardous pitfalls are lurking that you failed to predict or foresee. The weaklings you coax with a bottle, you are proud that you've kept them alive, with a measure of vital colostrum, for without it they'll never survive. But often your efforts are wasted after thinking they are well on their way. Some die for no obvious reason. Lambs make a habit of passing away. Yes, lambing time often is stressful. It's a time when your patience wears thin. Finding good lambs squashed by their mothers can make you feel like packing it in. But after the job is completed and you look over the gate with a smile at healthy lambs running and playing, all the hassle and stress seems worthwhile.
Well, thank you, Muriel. Good as ever. Well, what would a Tawstock concert evening be without a small ridge? You'd never forgive us. Well, this evening, we don't just have a small ridge. We have 2 small ridges. 2 for the price of 1. Now, you all know Ivan. He was with us here last year, but this evening, Ivan has brought along his younger brother, and they're going to tell us about stopping a tooth. Now, they told me They told me that the last time they did this gig together was almost exactly 50 years ago. Now, I'm sure you'll agree, they haven't changed a bit. So, without more ado, I give you Ivan and Peter in Stopping at Two.
What I've done. But lately I am troubled whether the aches or no.
How's that then? Do you mean to say you don't take no notice on if the aches or not?
No. What I mean to say is that me teeth, with them all so far away from me eye, that I shouldn't worry if they was all ache to once. Oh, but yours gone by now. Wait, I've lied awake night after night in agony.
Don't talk to me about lying awake. I never teamed an eye for more than a week. And as for aiding me mate, I didn't have enough to keep a tiddly alive. I got back so poor as a crawl, and as wet as a maggot.
Oh, there. Well, there's no good talking about Aidan now. If he's got the teeth there. Well, of course, that's if you got it to a purpose.
Oh, I had the real article, all right. Darned if I didn't. Made me probably as aided sometimes.
Just love pains you had, Tom.
Love pains, was it, me girl?
Hey.
Well, I don't know who her was or what her was, but judging from the sample I had her, I should say her was naught but a ugly, good for naught baggage.
Have you got the pain now, Tom?
No. It's all over now, you.
Well, ever stop living oil?
I didn't wait for that. I had me to stop instead. I thought that was quickest.
Oh, you hadn't took out, I see.
No, I tell you, I hadn't stopped.
Whoa. Shaming, really? I had it took out back along, and that stopped you all right?
Didn't say anything to. You hear the folks saying their teeth stopped, didn't they?
Whoa. Well, I can't say that I hadn't heard about it, but I'm thinking if I know a lot about it for all that. Of course, the most fella I know for stopping a tooth was old Donald Peters on Arca.
Oh, I remember. He used to knock out the coaches on hammer, didn't he?
That's right. That's it. You got him. He knocked out a tooth from my father once. And put her 3 parts of jaw a long way. So the fella never spoke afterwards without tittering. But I'll say one thing for him though. If ever these got the teeth ache, you went to Dano, he'd stop him for it.
I dare say. I'll bet to do to go to with headache.
be his fault. Old Thomas Raptor used to reckon that old Dan was long before they fellas in the town what makes the proper job on back. What is it they calls us all again?
Oh, you mean dentists?
Ah, that's it, dentists, that's the one. Hey, dentists. Well, old Thomas went into one of these your dentists one day, and because he got those toothaches so bad, he thought he'd had something to do. So he went into town, and when he come up, he see the dentist shop, and up over the door, and he stopped to look. There was a good sign up over, and it said, "Painless Sustractions." Aye. So he looked at it, went in, and he said, "Oh, dentist," he said, "look here, sir." He said, "That notice outside your door." He said, "That notice that reads painless sustractions.
Aye.
Do that mean that you take your teeth out arsenal?" "Oh, yes," he said, "that's right." Oh, good then," he said, "you take out this one for me." So he sat him down in a chair and he put some thread about his tooth. But I don't know, someone must have went wrong with the works, I suppose. He didn't read old Thomas properly. But I'm begging if Thomas didn't burn their receipt. Yes. Why, the first pulley out of the coat, Bill's old Thomas as though he was just shoving on right up through and coming out the back of his eye. Then the poor old fella, you know, he tapped up his head all of a sudden, like, of course. And as you know, I'm the softest head in the world anyway.
Oh, biggie.
Why, I wasn't going to say that. Anyway, he come up with his head and he caught the old dentist, bang, all of a sudden. And the next thing he said was the old dentist that should have pulled out his teeth, he was down on the floor. Ah, he's picking up his own teeth. And he was putting them side by side to see how many he'd be short in the future. So Thomas said, "This call this painless sustraction?" He said, "You owes me £5." "What was this, Thomas?" "Well," he said, "'tis £0.5 a tooth taken out." "Oh, is that so?" "Yes." "Well, then I reckon," says Thomas, "in that case, I reckon that this owe me about 7/6 balance on the day."
Well, mine wasn't hardly like that. But I went into the old dentist one day in intentions of having my tooth out. And when I left home in the morning, I said to my wife, I said, "I got for carrying away with me, but I'll make a bet I won't bring him back." And her said, "I ought to goodness you want." Her said, "Eat Friday enough, live way best of times." Yes. And when these got literally, you won't bearable.
You know, is that what her said?
My mother said that you.
All
Thank
right,
God.
aye.
Hey, so
Oh,
I went into the old dentist and sat down in a bit of an old waiting room. Well, 3 or 4 other folks had their age pulled
oh,
off.
aye.
So then my turn come. And nurse, with cap and apron on, come for take me inside. I thought, this is a pretty good start. If he's got a nurse, put me more than a man to go in the hospital.
That's it.
And I had a good man to tell her it was only my tooth I was coming about, not my leg.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, well, our took me in what they call a surgery. It was more like a carpenter's shop to me. All the tools and machinery lying around. There was a bloke in there who he got big white mucking apron on. God, I was surprised when I found out he was a dentist. Oh, because. However, he wished me good afternoon and asked me for sit down. There was a beautiful chair, a lovely chair, all covered in red velvet, right in front of the window.
Why?
And there was a little ordinary thing back out in the wall. he pointed for me to sit in his easy chair. I don't mean, my God, I knows my manners better than this.
Well, you did.
Yeah, so I said, no, master, you sitting Nicky. This is plenty good enough for me back here. And I joined him.
I don't blame you.
No, nor did I. But he seemed terrible amused about that, and he wouldn't rest till I had his on Nick easy chair. And then I see his little game. I'd ought to be socked down, for he touched the spring or something, and over I go backwards. We bit there. Give me cover right iron, Gully.
Oh, but isn't it?
Oh. I see why he tipped me backwards in the chair, because if he hadn't, I should jump clean through that window. Well, I got in the chair, and he said, I said, look out, I'll be toppling over backwards. And he said, no, you ben't. You sit still, lock your mouth. Well, wasn't no need to tell me that. I'd already shut my mouth since I've been inside the place.
I know that.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, I hopped my mouth. Which tooth is it, he said. 'Twas a ridiculous question to ask a fella, because he'd have got the thing the size of a shoehorn shoved in my mouth. And when he took the whole thing out, I see the looking glass.
Ah.
So he said, 'tis a pity you should lose such a fine tooth as that. Not a bit on, master, I says. He ain't good company, I can assure you. He won't live with peace and quietness with his neighbours. Oh, he said, I can stop him from hurting without taking on out.
Oh.
And make a good tooth of him. Can he, I said? Can he? Well, if you can do so, you do so. I shall stop him, he said. I said, that's right, master, you stop him. He'll have been going on long enough. So when he went back and pulled over a good old machine sort of thing, and when he worked the way he worked, all the wheels started going round. And I thought for first he was going to play a tune. But by God, it was me that had to play the tune.
Oh.
When he'd got that thing whizzing round about 1,000,000 miles an hour, he put the smile and right in my mouth, right up against my back to it. Oh. I see why he topped me over backwards, so I should jump clean through the window again. And he was there grinding away. I could feel grinding. It's like as though he was grinding up my skull. I could feel my bone dogs crunching up the powder. Yeah. And I wondered how long it was going to be before he come out through my ear. Oh, he frightened me. Oh, God. And when he took the whole thing out, I puts my tongue back around the place where he'd have been. And I bothered you if he hadn't made a hole big enough to hold a pack.
You know.
Hey. I said, you good fool. He said, then 3 times about he once more. Hold on a bit, sir, he said. Hold on. He said, I ain't finished yet. No. He goes back to the table and bothered the beat and makes up a bit of lime and sand. And rammed up in my old tooth there, bones it up, smooths it around, just like old sound party, man, fit the kitchen floor.
Come. Whoa, what? Well, whatever's the world coming to, we ain't the butcher, when it gets all our tooth, I shan't bother nor about the old dentist. Well, so send straight for Mason.
Aye, I should save half a print or two too.
That's it. Aye, of course you will. Aye.
Oh, the time I was getting on, I think.
Oh, aye.
I do get more so awful stiff with it about, you know.
Aye, well, I'm back at
Churro, huh?
Well, Churro and Tom.
See you again.
Yeah, see you again. All the best. Yeah, Churro, well, I expect I better maybe get along a bit too, Arnold. Most man misses away wondering what the devil I'm up to.
Oh, I know it, you're all.
dashing Devonshire dialect. Well, I got a feeling something different. I think you went up a little bit of the Blarney next. Quite a contrast. Well, now, so our next guest, he's been a very staunch member in our History Society, a very staunch member, yes, and he got us motivated to get our Millennium book out on time. And above that, he's got a great love of history. But I got a feeling tonight that we're going to get something different. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Jim Coulter. Come on, Jim.
Thank you, laddie. Thank you, laddie. God save all here. God save all here. I heard you was having a wee bit of a killie, so I thought I'd come on over here and give you the while of me crack. Here. Aye. Oh, daddy boy, the pipes are calling. Would you have such a thing as a plumber in the house? Well, you know, I'm not much of a singer myself, actually, but I didn't have to tell you that, did I? So, since you've been having poetry here, I thought I'd read you a wee poem here. Just better than me singing, I tell you. This is the story of a fella called Jim. Now, over in Ireland, where I come from, we'd have called him Seamus, of course. But here we are in Tawstock. I know they have some funny ways, so we'll have to call him Jim. And poor old Jim, he was as bald as a baboon's backside. And he had a great ambition in life. He wanted to grow some hair on his head, you see. So this is the story of Jim growing his hair. You'll notice I've got mine. Jim had grown quite bald on top, and so he went down to the shop and asked the woman working there for something to restore his hair. She sold him cream whose smell was vile, and Jim applied it for a while. But when a month had almost gone, he checked for hairs and counted none. A friend said, "There's this wise old crone who lives down in the woods alone. Clear your mind of standard notions, she concocts some very nice potions." Off Jim dashed to see the hag. She gave him herbs crushed in a bag. She chanted spells and said, "Back home you'll soon have need to buy a comb." A few days later, Jim awoke and thought someone had played a joke. He sat bolt upright in his bed and ran a hand across his head. "My hair has grown," he gasped. "Oh my, it's long, it curls. But why, oh why has none of it grown on me head, but on me flippin' hands instead?" Jim went back to see the witch, who said, "A minor hitch. Results, I'm sure, would be terrific if the spell was more specific." Jim went home with spells to test, and soon had hair across his chest, and in his ears a healthy crop, but not a single strand on top. The witch said, "Here, I'll bet my socks this herb will give you flowing locks." It did, but just between his toes and curling upward from his nose. The witch was keen to persevere. She felt success was drawing near, but Jim no longer gave a fig. He went and bought himself a wig. Well, before we get down to the really serious part of the program this evening, I must tell you about a funny old thing that happened to me on the way over here tonight. I was coming over from Dublin, and we were coming over the Irish Sea in the big airplane when the captain fella came on the loudspeaker. You know how they do it. He said, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry to tell you," he said, "that one of our engines is overheating and we'll have to turn it off. I'm afraid we'll be half an hour late getting into London. Well, I mean, you don't want an engine overheating, so well, anyway, we went. And a couple of minutes later, he comes on, he said again, ladies and gentlemen, he said, I have to tell you that there's another engine overheating and we'll have to turn it off. I'm afraid we'll be an hour late getting into London. Well, on we went again, and would you believe he came on the old speakers again and he said, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know how to tell you this, he said, but our third engine is overheating. We'll have to turn it off. And we'll be an hour and a half now getting into London. Well, the fellow next to me said, turned round, he said, if they turn that fourth engine off, we'll be stuck up here all day. Well, you know, I don't know if you know Dublin, you know, but the traffic is terrible in Dublin, you know. You think it's bad in Tawstock here when the children are coming out of school. But you've seen nothing. You've seen nothing till you've seen the traffic in Dublin. Well, my old mate, Mick McGuigan, he's a bus driver. And he's driving down his bus down O'Connell Street. And he's going along, and suddenly, out in front of him jumps this little old woman, straight in the middle of the road in front of him. And he jumps on the brakes, he goes, and he was all shook up, you know. Well, Nick, you know, he does sometimes tremble a bit when he's had a drop taken. But the old woman was on the road and she hops back on the sidewalk like a little old sparrow she was. And Jimmy sort of pulls himself together here and he gets the old bus in gear again, and just as he's about to move, out she steps again in the middle of the road. He got the old brake, he got the bus stopped again. Whew. Well, she hops back on the sidewalk again, and he very carefully gets back into gear. And he's just about to move, and he sees her sort of teetering on the side of the pavement. And he winds the window down, and he says, Mrs., he says, Mrs., he said, how am I supposed to hit you if you won't stand still? But you know, some of our visitors over there, they can't quite get used to our funny ways, you know. We had this English fella come over. He flew over into Dublin Airport. And when he came out, he called a taxi, see, and he said, take me to the Shelbourne Hotel. You know, they talk awful funny, don't they? So they get into the taxi and off they go down the road to Dublin, lickety-spit. And in no time at all, they come to a set of traffic lights. And the lights are on red. But what does he do? He goes straight through the traffic lights. And an old fella sitting in the back, he thinks, well, maybe the poor old driver, maybe he's colourblind. So they go on down the road like the clappers to hell, and they come to another set of traffic lights. And they're on red. He goes straight through the red light again. Well, by this time the passenger was he was trying to think, did I make me will in my funeral arrangements? But on he went again, and he come to a third set of traffic lights. But this time, they were on green. The same brakes as the bus driver, you know. He pulled up and he stops on the green light. So he leans over and taps the driver on the shoulder and he said, why have you stopped? He said. The lights are on green. And the driver, he turned round, he said, you mind, he said. Go through a green light, he said, and get hit by one of them crazy Irish drivers coming across the red light. Well, you know, everybody in Ireland these days, they're all out trying to make money and trying to get rich quick. Well, my old friend, Dan O'Reilly, he was into this as well, and he started thinking, how can I get rich quick? And he said to himself, well, the only way I can think of getting rich real quick is to print my own money. So he rattled around through some old scrapyards and garages, he said, and he got himself some old printing plates and a printing press, and he set them up in the scullery. at his home, and he thought, now, if I want to get rich, he said, there's no point in printing small stuff. I'll really print the big one. So he decided he would print a £51 note. He got it all set up in all the printing places. And when he got it out, he looked at it. It was a lovely job. And then he started to think, he said, a £51 note, I might have a bit of trouble changing that. But Paddy Rafferty down at the pub, he's not very bright, he'll change for me. So he goes down to the pub and he says to Paddy, he said, Paddy me out, so he said, could you change me a £51 note? Sure, that'll be no trouble at all, says Paddy, but I'll have to give it to you in 3s, 7s and 9s. Well, another old mate of mine, Dan O'Reilly, he was a great traveller. He was all over the world, he was. And on one of his travels, he got caught. He was captured by the wild Red Indians. Oh, they were a wild lot, I tell you. They tied him up to a stake. And the big Indian chief, you know, with his big headdress of turkey feathers, he comes up to him and he says, no, wait a minute. So, Paleface, he said, Paleface. We make Indian canoe out of your skin. Do you have last wish before we send you to happy hunting ground? I do, he says. I do have a last wish. Could I trouble you, he said, for the loan of a fork? Squaw, bring fork. He hands the fork to him. He takes the fork and he goes tick, 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 tick. Here you are, my old cock rooster. Here's your fork, he said. You'll have a hell of a job making an Indian canoe out of my skin. Well, I think I'll have to leave you now because I have to away and see to me leprechaun. But before I go, I'd like to leave you with an old Irish blessing. As you journey on your way, may the road rise to meet you, and may the wind at your back always be your own. And me tooraloo, I'll be off to Tipperary in the morn.
I think we know it well enough anyway, don't we? In Dublin's fair city, where the girls are so pretty, I first set my eyes on sweet Molly alone, as she wheeled her wheelbarrow through streets broad and narrow, crying cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh, alive. If I were free to speak my mind, I'd tell a tale to all mankind of how the flowers bloom and fade, of how we fought and how we paid. This weary world has had its fill of words of war on every hill. The time has come for peaceful days and peaceful men of peaceful ways, when all mankind has ceased to fight. I'll raise my head in thanks each night for this rich earth and all it means, for golden days and peaceful dreams. If I were free to speak my mind, I'd tell a tale to all mankind of how the flowers bloom and fade, of how we fought and how we paid. In a minute, I know Claude's going to come back up and he's going to give me a bit of help with some community singing, but I did have a couple of stories that I found, little stories, and they made me smile, so I thought, just bring them along with you because they might make you smile too. The first one, I finished knocking everything about here. The first one, it was about a council official to investigate a complaint about the noise from the buses running through the night, this poor distressed housewife. And she said, you wouldn't believe how disturbing this is. You wouldn't believe it. Every time this bus passes, the entire house vibrates. The bed actually shakes. You just come upstairs with me and you can experience the effects for yourself. There's a number 9 bus due within the next few minutes. The official was a bit uncomfortable about this, but he knew he'd better investigate this complaint as fully as possible, so they arrived in the bedroom. Slip your shoes off and lie on the bed, demanded the housewife. The official did as requested. He slipped off his shoes and his jacket and lay down on the bed. Suddenly, the door opened. The husband had arrived home. He heard a man's voice coming from his bedroom, so he stormed in through the door and demanded of the now very, very red-faced official what on earth was going on in his bedroom. The official said, you're not going to believe this, but I'm waiting for a number 9 bus. This is a bit on the same lines, really. It just amused me. Jack was going to be married to Jill. So his father sat him down for a little chat. He said, Jack, let me tell you something. On my wedding night in our honeymoon suite, I took off my pants, handed them to your mother, and I said, here, honey, try these on. She did, and said, well, sweetie, they're a little too big. I can't wear them. So I replied, exactly. I wear the pants in this family, always will. Don't you forget it. Ever since that night, we've never had a single problem. So on his honeymoon, Jack takes off his pants and says to Jill, here, babe, try these on. So she does, and says, they don't fit me. So Jack says, exactly. I wear the pants in this family. I always will, and I don't want you to forget that. Then Jill takes off her pants and hands them to Jack and says, here, you try mine on. So he does, and he says, I can't even get into your pants. So Jill says, no, exactly, and if you don't change your... the back there, because the one thing we look forward to at all these do's are some of jokes from Claude. We didn't get any, so we complained bitterly to the management, and here he is. You're going to tell us some jokes? You're going to tell us some jokes first?
I can do.
Yeah.
This story is about two little boys. Two little boys sitting down having a story, telling to each other. And one little boy turned to the other little boy and he said, you know, he said, I asked my father last night, he said, how he come to have me? He said, since anybody else, why you have me? And the other boy said, well, what did I tell him? He said, well, my father told me that when he wanted a little boy, he said he put it in on a piece of cardboard. He said he put it in underneath the carpet. He said when he come down the next morning, he said, there I was. So the other little boy said, well, what about it? Well, he said, you know, the other boy said, I thought last night, he said, I'd like a little boy. He said, and I wrote it down on a piece of cardboard. He said, and I put it in underneath the carpet. He said, when I come down this morning, he said, lifted up the carpet. He said, there was a massacred big spider. He said, and I would have killed him too. He said, if I hadn't been his father. There was a family, they got one little boy about 5-year-old, and they was expecting another, but they hadn't said anything to the little boy. And when it come near the time, 8 months on, he noticed that Mommy's tummy was a lot bigger than he used to be. And he said, Mommy, he said, what's the big swelling in your tummy? And I thought to herself, now was the time to tell. And I said, well, as a matter of fact, I said, it's a baby. He said, what? I said, it's a baby. He said, no, it didn't. I said, yes, it is. He said, no, it didn't. I said, yes, it is. He said, where are you getting from? I said, as a matter of fact, I said, Daddy let me up. He said, did he? And he went for his father who was reading the paper. He said, have you let Mommy have a baby? And the bloke pulled down his paper. He said, yes, as a matter of fact, I have. He said, well, I've been swallowed. Couldn't out to see who's at his side. We had a load from the Women's Institute, and they went out on Exmoor for a picnic. And they went out there, and as you know, on Exmoor there's no toilets at all. So they got in the bus and they started wandering off in different directions, 2s and 3s and 1s. And one woman went too far and she lost herself. And she went down through the roads there and walked through the burns and so on. And at last I heard the motor running. And I walked down and it was a farmer on his tractor in the field there, cutting weed he was. So I got to the gate and waved to him and he said, what's the matter? And he still kept the tractor going. I said, I'm lost. He said, what? I said, I'm lost. He said, say it again, I can't hear you. I said, I've lost my party. I said, them picnickers. He said, sorry, right? He said, you shouldn't have took them off. I don't know if you've heard of this one before. I've told it before. I don't know whether I've told it in Tawstock or not. On Exmoor years ago, there was a farmer there, and he used to come, he and his missus used to come to town about twice a year. And unfortunately, she developed a boil on her bum. And this boil didn't get any better. And at last I wasn't getting any sleep, or wasn't giving me any sleep. He said, look, he said, you'll have to see a doctor. I said, sure I shan't. I said, I've never seen a doctor in my life. Well, he said, you'll have to. I said, well, I don't want to. He said, well, look, he said, you'll have to go in and see the doctor. He said, it won't take you 2 minutes. He said, go in and see the doctor. He said, let you out some of it. He said, you can't go on like this. So the workers all been to a proper pitch. So we put her in the car and drove her in, and he showed her the door where it was, and her got out of the car, and such a bustle. I went in through the door, and I seen the bloke in a white coat, pulled up her dress, pulled down her drawers, and showed her where there was. What do you think of that? He said, very nice. I said, what do you mean very nice? I said, ain't going to give me anything more, doctor? He said, doctor? Doctor? He said, you come in the wrong door. He said, the fish and chip shop. I'm taking up a little bit too much time, but I must tell you.
No, it's great.
Let's tell you this one. There was a boy who was born in a village, and he unfortunately had bad eyesight. But the only thing he wanted to do in life was to drive a tractor. He didn't want to do anything else but drive a tractor. And everybody was afraid to let him drive the tractor because his eyesight was so bad. So at last he saw an advert for a tractor driver in an adjoining parish. So he took up on his bicycle and got there at last and knocked at the door, and the farmer come to the door and he said, I've come to apply for the job, mister. He said, it's a tractor driver. So the farmer heard this when he said, well, he said, I'd like to let you have the job, man. But before he got to the farm, he thought, so in case this farmer heard anything about his bad eyesight, he looked up his coat and he took a pin out and he stuck in a tree about 200 yards from the farm door. And then he went and knocked on the door. And the farmer said, well, I'd like to let you have the job, my dear. He said, but I understand. He said, your eyesight isn't very good. He said, have you heard that story? He said, they got it mixed up. He said, didn't I got bad? He said, I got exceptionally good eyesight. He said, nobody got better eyesight than what I got. Farmer said, I wish I could believe it. And he looked where he said, you see that pin sticking in that tree over there? And the farmer said, no, I don't think you can. He said, oh, yes, I can. He said, I've ridden for and pulled out for it. He's ridden for and bob over a cow. He got up and started trying to cut the cow with horns. And he said, what a bloody silly bless to put a bush back.
And it's called Our Devonshire Speech. It was written by William Gregory Harris of Tawstock about 1922. He was a Wesleyan minister at Torquay and Bridgewater. Now he very kindly put a lot of them phrases into poetry, and they will rhyme, as you will see. So we start off something like this. Our Devonshire speech do make folks laugh when they do visit we, but us don't care what they do think, 'tis ignorance, you see. And us ain't going to make a show, be cutting up our words to please the numbskulls what would turn good Saxony into shirts. 'Twas back along in Alfred's time, 1,000 years agone, that the Devonshire speech was first to spot, so I've been your telephone. And by his words so soft and sweet and droll and so slow, no matter where you find them, to a Devonshire chap you'll know. Our S's be all Z's, you see, and our E's be all be B's. Us calls a wapsie, apple drain, to mark them off from B's. Us waps our noses with handkerchers. Us apses up the gates. When things be turned all backsy for, us says us be that us be dulled, and us be always bitty when the victuals us be called. Hope you following this, Devonshire. Us axes when us wants a thing, us be wish when us be bad. Our cats do scratch and us do call a shower rain a scad. Us do belong when chuck we thirst, good cider more to drink. Though if us drinks too much, you know, they chucks us in the clink. Us comes on in the Dempsey when the kettle's on the boil. If us mucks the floor up, Mrs. glares and don't have scowl. For ours a regular scholar and always on the toes, and can't abide when any book straps in and whistles up her house. Our orchards they be full of fruit, our fields them full of weight, and girt big mango wurzel's were the bullocks 48. Our gardens grow all kinds of trade, and 'tis a sight to see. Our clumps of wallflowers so gallant as can be. O east is brave down your eyes, our mouthpiece may be quaint, but I do suit us all to say, I be or else I bent. And what's the odds about grammar if you make your meaning plain? Us all knows and understands the chaps who says, I must be Gwen. So up along and down along and home along we'll go, and in along and out along and a trapsing to and fro. And as for they, their dapper chaps, so mincing way their speech, they ain't got naught, as I can see, us Devonshire books to teach. And you may bet old Devon's going to old our time placing fame for sturdy men and pretty maids, for butter and for cream. So us will keep our mouthpiece poor, in spite of what books say, and you show your head brave and broad when you've done Devon's way. Thank you. There's a little shorter one here, and it's called The Better Plan. It's not quite as broad as the other, but still is Devonshire. Written by William Weeks of Dalton in about the 1890s. He learned to speak the Devon language as his first, the Devon dialect as his first language. Later he became senior lecturer in English and mathematics at St. Luke's Teachers' Training School in Exeter. Young Tom the farmer's son one night was going down the lane, candle and lantern in his hand, to meet his Mary Jane. Now as it happened, Farmer Giles was coming up the lane, and meeting Tom with lantern asked, Why, Tom, where be thee a-gwain? Tom looked sheepish, answered, Sir, so you knows where I be gwain. 'Tis courting time tonight, and I'm just off to meet me Mary Jane. But take a lantern courting, Tom? You be a queer young spark. I always thought that sort of thing was better in the dark. Well, master, I've always been you're told 'tis far the best safest plan to draw some light upon anything that you might take in hand. Well, I hadn't got no light to court my wife when I was Nancy Red, says Tom. To judge by what her looks like, sir, I shouldn't think you did. Our star turn of the evening. Now, I can tell you this, they've travelled quite some considerable way to see us here tonight, and they do an awful lot of charity work. I know for facts. They go about different venues and recite their work, and I do hear they do a bit of singing as well. They do an awful lot of charity work for the Southwest Children's Hospital, and I think that's a very good thing. So, ladies and gentlemen, please give a big welcome for Stan and Jan, our star turn this evening.
show up tonight, haven't we? But it's downhill all the way now, I can tell you. Hey, you're gluttons for punishment. You've invited us back again. Anyway, here's my old mate, Jan.
Do you know what, you? I gotta take my glasses off because I can't see. Oh, that's better, yeah.
It's very kind of him to give us a glass of gin.
But I'll tell you what, you, it had made it a lot easier for us here tonight. Because do you know what us was going to say have already been said?
Anyway, how's your missus getting on, Jan?
I'm dinner for the last week. Now, oh, I'll tell you what, you're at a master's coat. One of these old runny coats, you know, with full of bucket and a half over. So her goes up to doctor, says, doctor said, I got awful cold. Oh, he said, I don't give you nothing for a cold. He said, you go home and take aspirin. But he said, if you go home and go in the bath, he said, and stay there for an hour in cold water, he said, you come to me and I'll treat you for pneumonia. So when you're in, I said, I want for you to drive me into Torrington and get me a bottle of medicine. And my dear soul, do you know it rained so hard that you know the colour of the rainbow was washed out, he was got the black and white. So her goes into the chemist, you see, and her asked us for this bottle of medicine. And her came out with a great itcher. That's a good old Hampshire word, isn't it? A great old itcher. Her unscrewed the top view and her let down 3 goes. After a minute or two, you was walking down the pavement and her started jumping up and down. I said, you've took overdose, haven't I? I said, the folks will think you maze. Her said, shut up, boy. Her said, I forgot to shake the bottle.
Tell us about the wife. Oh, yeah. Do you know that somebody told her that I was chasing other women?
Oh, not at your age. No.
You don't reckon so?
No.
Well, I said her wasn't a bit worried.
No, I know there wouldn't be.
I said, oh, don't chase his cars, but he can't drive. You know, when I was first married, long time ago, mind you, I come home one night from work, and they said, darling, or used to call me darling then, not anymore. I said, I've got news for you. I said, soon there'll be three of us in this house. Oh, I said, oh yes, I'm pleased about that. Oh, lovely. Oh, I said, I'm glad you are. I said, because Mother's coming to live with us. Since this was your last year, you've been on holiday again, haven't you?
Oh, yeah.
Where did you get to this year then?
God, not you mention about holidays, you.
What's that then?
God, what an old caper is that? That caper, that's another good old Hampshire word, isn't it? You? What an old caper is that? I said it's we try the north.
What's the north?
And do you know before us got about 300 mile up, us come to this master great old big roundabout. But you see, before us got to the dingy roundabout, it said further back, get in your right lane now. Oh, I said to Mrs. They must think us be locals to get in your right lane now. So when us got up near the roundabout, there it said where you had to go. Us was in wrong lane, you see. So I said, never mind. I said, it's beyond holiday. I said, it's a wait here for the traffic stop. So when you're at, you see, there was a car come up behind and he blowed his hooter. So I said to Mrs., I said, isn't it wonderful to think us be up 300 mile up here and somebody knows? Signal motoring up the traffic. Well, so So do you know that where it's got to, I don't know where it was, but 'twas somebody, 'twas some nice place, but I didn't ignore that, because I said to Mrs. coming all up your 400 mile up, I said the water's just the same down westward out. It's getting 400 mile up. So anyway, I met a couple there, I got very friendly with them, and they told us to tell you about the vicar. The vicar, you see, he was in his office there one day, or in his study, you see, and the phone went. So that was the member of the WI wanting for him to give a talk on sex.
What's that?
I don't know, but that's what he had to give a talk. So the rector said to his wife, he said, I've got to give a talk, he said to the WI, he said, on sailing. Or said, on sailing? Or said, well, what do you know about sailing? Well, he said, when the children was small, he said, it used to go on their Sunday school outings and go in a boat. So he said, I can tell about that. So anyway, after the meeting, you see, she was in the town, and there saw this woman that phoned the rector, you see, and she said, oh, how did the meeting go? Oh, she said it went very well. She said it was most educational. Well, her said, I can't make out. Her said, he only done it twice. Her said the first time he was sick, and the second time he's out blown off.
Do a bit of bowling.
Yeah.
Let's went on a trip to share up the Bournemouth.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, proper toss.
Yeah.
So one day when I hadn't got a match, me and Mrs. went down and had a couple of deck chairs and sat down on the sands.
Oh, yeah.
Of course not, I went off to sleep,
Yeah.
as usual.
Yeah.
So when I woke up, right down there in front of me was two maids. They hadn't got hardly anything on.
No, really.
Nothing up here.
No.
Not much down the bottom. I couldn't believe my eyes.
No.
Matter of fact, my eyes haven't been right since. Anyway, I stayed at the Shire Hotel.
Yeah.
All posh, was. And there was this comedian on.
Oh, yeah.
And he was telling about this a Roman Catholic couple. They got married. And Father Ted come along one day, and the wife said, can't understand it, or said, we want a family. We've been married a couple of years, but nothing seems to be happening yet.
No.
So Father Ted said, never mind, my child. He said, I'm going to Rome next week, and I will light a candle for you. He said, it always works, he said, never fails. Well, time passed. And Father Ted called on this couple again, 4 or 5 years later. And the wife was over the moon. She said it worked. We've got 2 sets of twins. He said, by the way, where's your husband? I said, he's gone to Rome to blow out that candle. Saying about this old farmer reminded me just now about when they was telling about somebody with a sore bottom, you see. When some farmer had a sore bottom, and he went to the doctor, and the doctor examined him, and he said, got a bit of inflammation there, he said. Tell you what, he said, I'm going to give you some tablets, he said, and I want you to put one a day in your back passage for 14 days, and then come back to me again. Well, went away. 14 days later, old farmer come back again. Doctor said, well, how'd you get on then? Well, doctor, he said, I haven't got a back passage in our house.
said for all the good they'd done me, I just as well stuck them up in me behind. All true, what I tell you. Anyway, been a marvellous show this year, isn't it? Been a good girl for visitors,
Oh,
isn't it?
master, you.
You've had plenty of it?
Yeah.
Have you?
Cause that one couple of you, cause soon as they come to the old farm, you, the old perfume, got the cats sniff and run, don't run, cause it scented the place right up you. But if we're sent on no them violence, cause otherwise tweed. You see, I've been trained, haven't I? So anyway, I says to these visitors, I say to got this proper on no farm me if you can get any weather. So she said, oh, she said, I beg your pardon. Oh, get out you. I said, us don't say I beg your pardon down here, you. I say, us say, hey. So I said, this proper on no farm you if you can get any weather. So never understood a word of it. So next morning you, they come out and she said, oh, she said, I spent hours and hours, she said, last evening looking in the dictionary and couldn't find that word fitted as you said at all. So I said, well, no, because you haven't got a fitty dictionary. So anyway, you see, as the week went on, I went out to see the sheep and I saw the ram, it broke in with the yaws. So I thought to myself, well, I didn't want lambs born Christmas. I'll get those sheep up to the corner that seems even without lambs. I cut the ram and I had a rope halter, I had some baler cord in my pocket, made halter, and I took the ram and I was going down through the yard and the visitors came out. Oh, she said, what are you doing with that sheep? Well, I said, this is the male sheep of the flock. I said, this is what is known as the ram. I said, every morning I said I bring him in, and every evening I turn him out. Well, she said, why don't you then stay out all the time? Well, because I said, by doing that, when we come lambing, all the lambs are born during the day. She thought it was true, you see, and her was looking straight. Oh, she said, isn't nature a wonderful thing? She said, I have my children born during the day too. So I couldn't help myself, so I said, oh yes, and you know, I went in nose and I laughed, so do you know you don't cat laughed with me. So what about then? I hear you took up a bit of singing, haven't we?
Well, sort of, like, you know, sort of.
Yeah. Are you going to give us a...
Well, I don't know whether they like me to sing or no.
See what you do, right? Yeah.
I'll stand up.
That's right, you stand up.
Anyway, I've dedicated this song to Ivan and Mary. Alright? I got no music, I could do with a guitar here.
Because going back, before he starts, going back 40 years ago, he was a master, well he still is, master good yodeler. Yodeler. That's a yodeler, isn't it?
Is it?
Well, that's what I gather.
Anyway, this is a song that I've made up along the line, and it's dedicated to that chappie back there. Right? He was a farmer's boy down on the farm, and she was a milkmaid so sweet. He made tender vows as she milked the moo cows, and said things too sweet to repeat. He'd yodel away in the fields all the day, with pride the sweet milkmaid would blush. The birds in the trees and the kind bumblebees all say it's a song of the thrush. O-da-lee-dee-lee, o-da-lo-dee-lee, o-da-lo-dee-lee, o-da-lee-lee. The songs he would yodel twice daily soon had the eyes popping out of each spud.
The hens wouldn't lay and the lambs wouldn't play. The moo cows stopped chewing their cud. The pigs in the sties all had tears in their eyes. The horses just muttered neigh neigh. But still all day long as it yodeled this song, the milkmaid was happy and gay.
Never would have done no farming, you did that.
Let's have another drink, man. Strong stuff, this should gin. Right then, John. What about your old neighbour up the road? How's he getting on these days?
We still living, you. I could get master, is you?
I would say.
Oh, master ain't you, but he's been a master domineering man all his life. Master strong domineer.
Just like you, Eric.
Just like myself, Eric. Every morning, you know, he wakes his missus up 5 o'clock and says, "Can I get me cup of tea then?" You know. And of course that suits him to keep the quiet peace, you see.
Oh, yes.
So on this particular moment, or this particular morning, there wasn't a murmur 5 o'clock, so I thought to herself, well, let's sleep and don't lie, you know. Got 6 o'clock, got 7 o'clock, then it got 7 o'clock. I said, "You all right, buddy?" And there wasn't an answer, so by this time I was getting a bit worried, you know, like you were. So her daughter gave him a bit longer, so got away 7:30, 8 o'clock. "You all right?" Couldn't get no life out of her, nor. So I thought I must ring doctor. So I rings doctor. Well, of course, doctor knowed what sort of man he was, eh? So, right, he said, "I'll come right over." So in here, you see, doctor come and looked at him, and, "Oh dear," he said, "I got bad news for you." He said, "I'm afraid he has." He said, "I should have to write down a few notes a minute." And he jumped up and he said, "Nah, I'm all right." Or said, "Lie down by her," said, "Doctor knows best."
Your neighbour was 90 odd, was it?
94.
Oh, 94.
Yeah.
Well, I know a friend of ours was 90 some years ago, and I went to see him, you see. He said, "I'm getting married again." Oh. I said, "Who's a lucky person?" Oh, he said, "There's Mary from the dairy." I said, "I was Mary now." "Oh, 25, he said. Oh, I said, "That's a bit of a large age gap, isn't it? 90 to 25. Well, he said, "I don't think it makes any difference. Let's love one another. What difference did it make?" So I thought, well, there's other things to consider. See, I said, "I think you ought to take in a lodger." "Oh, do you think so?" he said. I said, "Yes, I think you better wait." Anyway, went back to it again later on. Well, matter of fact, I gave him a ring on the phone.
Oh, hey.
I said, "How are you then, George?" "Oh, I'm fine," he said. I said, "How's the missus?" "Oh, yes, there's fine," he said. "There's pregnant." Oh, I said, "Well, congratulations." I said, "Is the lodger with you?" "Yes," he said, "Nurse pregnant too." I'm going to tell you a sad story now. Sad story. There was this little boy and his parents. And every night when he went to bed, his parents would work with him. And he had a pet rabbit called Ben and a budgie called Joey. Every night he'd go up, say his prayers. Then he'd say, "Good night, Mummy. Good night, Daddy. Good night, Joey. Good night, Ben." Off to sleep he would go. Well, one night they put him to bed, said his prayers, and he said, "Goodbye, good night, Mummy, good night, Daddy, Good night, Joey. Goodbye, Ben. Oh, well. Next day, poor old Ben died. The rabbit died. Oh, this voice makes me sad. Oh. Well, sometime later, put his bed again. Same thing happened again. Said his prayers. Then he said, good night, Mummy. Good night, Daddy. Goodbye, Joey. Next morning, poor old Joey was in his cage. He died. Well, time passed. I told you it was a sad one, didn't I?
Very sad.
Time passed. Went to bed one night, said his prayers, then he said, good night, Mummy. Goodbye, Daddy. Oh, my gosh. Daddy, he was in the sweat then, I can tell you. He walked to work next morning. He wouldn't drive his car if he did have an accident. He stayed in his office all day. He wouldn't go out. He'd come back in the night, walk back again. He'd be flopped in the chair. And he said, God, what a day I've had. And his missus said, huh, what a day I've had. The milkman dropped dead on the doorstep this morning. My memory is, Wayne. What about yours?
Oh, rotten you.
Is it?
Yeah.
At his old age, isn't it?
What I got to say you, I got to read now. But I'll tell you what, you, 'tis all education. Oh, there's only two little ones.
Right.
And 'tis getting old. Though I'm getting more forgetful and mixed up in my head, I've got arthritis in both my knees, and when I talk with a wheeze. My pulse is weak and my blood is thin, but I'm awfully well for the shape I'm in. Sometimes I can't remember when I'm standing by the stair. Am I going up for something, or have I just been there? And then, you see, it goes on. Sometimes I can't remember when I'm standing by the stair. Am I going up for something, or... And before the fridge so often, my mind is full of doubt. Now, did I put the food away, or did I take to bring it out? Old age is golden, I've heard it said, but sometimes I wonder as I get into bed, with my hearing aid in the drawer, and my teeth in a cup, and my eyes on the table, until I wake up. Sleep overtakes me, I say to myself, is there anything else I could lay on the shelf? Now when I have wrote a letter, and write goodbye my dear, I'm standing by the post box, wondering what I have said. Instead of posting this to you, I've opened it instead. I get up each morning and dust off my wits and pick up the paper and read the obits. If my name is missing, I know I'm not dead, so I have a good breakfast and go back to bed. Now, I just got one short one here, and this one was written by Shakespeare. Oh. And it's called Misunderstanding. A young couple about to be married were looking at home in the country, and after satisfying themselves that it was suitable, made their way home. During the journey, the lady was very thoughtful, and when the young man had to reason, she said, did you notice the WC? WC? They hadn't noticed it. So wrote to the owner of the house, asking where it was allocated. Unfortunately, the ignorant owner did not understand the meaning of the initials WC. But there being in the district a rather famous chapel, the Wesleyan chapel, he assumed. This was what the initials represented. His reply was, "Dear sir, I have pleasure in informing you that the WC is situated some 9 miles from now and is capable of seating 250 people. This is an unfortunate situation if you are in the habit of going regularly. But you will be glad to hear that a great number of people take their lunch with them and make a day of it, whilst others who cannot spare the time go by car and arrive just in time. It will be interesting to you to know that my daughter was married in the WC. In fact, it was there that she met her husband. My wife and I are getting on now and do not go regular as we used to. It is 6 months since we last met, and I can assure you that it pains us very much to be able to go more often. Hymn sheets are to be found behind the door." But I'll just finish up with one quickie then, and then that's it.
I'll tell you about this. See, one of our neighbours breeds these little dogs.
Oh yeah.
Little chihuahuas.
Yeah.
You know, the little tiny
I
ones.
know
you
the
know.
ones you, yeah.
Well, it breeds them and it shows them, you see. And as the vet comes around in and out, and I had a brood of pups from this dog, and the vet come around, he looked over these dogs, he said, "That one there," he said, "was going to grow up to be a show dog." He said, "But the trouble is, he's got a few long hairs on his back." He said, "When you're in the chemist next time, you get a bottle of hair remover and put it on his back and it'll be gone." Right? So I went along to the chemist and I said, "I want a little bottle of hair remover, please." "Oh yes, madam," he said, "certainly." So he got this little bottle of hair remover, you see. He said, "You want to be careful with this," he said, "when you put it on your arms and legs," he said, "because it's pretty strong stuff." Well, I said, "I don't want it to put it on my arms and legs, I want it to put it on my little chihuahua." He said, "Good God, madam," he said, "you had better ride a pushback for a fortnight."
I'll tell you what, you've been a proper lot your game tonight, and thanks a lot for having us here.
Anyway, I must introduce our next two artists. One you've already seen tonight, Miss Tricia Isherwood, and she's been accompanied by Mrs. June Mitchell. They're both retired head school teachers. But no, don't worry. Don't go thinking you got a whole club horse spick and span just because they're head teacher. No, don't worry. They haven't got the ruler with them tonight, so they won't smack your hand. Anyway, here we are. Please welcome Trish and June together. Come in. All right.
Say great minds think alike. I have to tell you, and I can tell Stan and Jan, that there is an authorised version of one of the poems they read, because I've got it here to read to you. So I'm going to put it away. So I'll just tell you a little, very little story about life in the old dog yet. A true tale of a dog who was boarding at kennels when his owner died while on holiday. His master's dead, the note decreed. Now falls to you an awful deed. That faithful hound, your long-term guest, take to the vet and put to rest. Then, when he's met his dreadful fate, your costs will meet from the deceased estate. I looked at him, he looked at me. His host of multitudes of fleas, who freely licks his private parts, who's scared of strangers and the dark. With one ear up and one ear down, his gormless look becomes a frown. That evening found us at the vet's, with other owners and their pets. It seemed like hours, that dreadful wait, to sit and sadly contemplate. 14 years old, he seemed so well. He's always had that dreadful smell. Shame, said the vet, but if you're sure, I'll just need your signature. It's a full 12 months since that fateful night. And I must inform you, as I write, that the subject of my dreadful fable is snoring loudly beneath the table.
My body lies over the ocean. My body lies over the sea. My body lies over the ocean. So bring back my body to me. Last night as I lay on my pillow, last night as I lay on my bed, last night as I lay on my pillow, I dreamt that my body was dead. Bring back, oh bring back my body to me, to me. Bring back, oh bring back my body to me. Oh blow ye winds over the ocean, oh blow ye winds over the sea, oh blow ye winds over the ocean, and bring back my body to me. Bring back, oh bring back my body to me, to me. Bring back, oh bring back my body to me. The winds have blown over the ocean, the winds have blown over the sea, the winds have blown over the ocean, and brought back my body to me. Bring back, oh bring back my body to me, to me. Bring back, oh bring back my body to me.
Do have the number ready, for we're about now to start picking the winning numbers. And the two stalwarts with the winning numbers are coming in. The first is green, number 11. Legs 11, as they say in the bingo. Number 11, green. First one is 11. I'll put it here. The next one is yellow. I think that's yellow. 212. 212 is the next one. On this sort of funny 212. Do come up, please. Oh, there's 11.
Not only my tongue, but it's true.
Is it? Oh, what? You're the first one. Number 212, well done. Pick yourself through. Pick one up.
Your attendance, the show will be nothing. We do appreciate you coming. Hope you've all enjoyed it. Take care. Look forward to seeing you probably next year. And in the meantime, safe journey home to all of you. Thank you very much indeed.
If any of you did want on the video, you can reach me on 858-524 if you want one. We'll give you a browse, whatever. I think it might be very interesting.